A lot of y'all that have come to this video, get out of that regular-ish. You did not come to be regular, but for some reason you think you are. Hello, my name is Acacia Markel, and this is Venus's Interlude, okay? Where we talk all things self-care, love, and luxury in the physical and spiritual realm. Some of y'all may be wondering, why did she name this segment Venus's Interlude? Some of y'all also may be wondering, where she been? Why she ain't been posting like that? Well, Venus has been giving me some heavy lessons to learn. People be sleep on Venus. Let me tell you that. They be sleep on Venus's real energy. You know, it's light and dark side. When you think about Venus, you think about love, luxury, like I said. You think about self-care, self-worth. But we don't talk about the loneliness, the darkness that you must go through to see your own beauty. So my tropical Venus is in Taurus. You know, it's in his home. It's all like lovey-dovey. But with that being said, I didn't feel any of that in my life. I was like, wow, I was so shocked when I found out that was my sign. Because I grew up in poverty. I was stripped of all things luxury. I was stripped of my beauty, my self-worth every day. I was under spells. You know how old I was when I found out that I was this beautiful? You know, I always knew I was intelligent. I always knew I was wise. I always knew that I was, you know, quick on my feet. I always knew I had a warrior energy. I always knew that, you know, I was that type of girl. But when you grow up in poverty, because poverty will do that to you, there's this Central C lyric. Me and him have the same birthday, June 4th. Yeah, Geminis. But there's this lyric that he has. It says, just because I grew up with nothing, don't mean that I'm easy to please. And when I first heard that, I had to pause and say, wait. I remember this one ex. He was like, I remember back in the day, you used to have me going to the trenches. And it wasn't like just a story, an anecdotal story. It was for him to remind me where I come from, because I was getting a little bit too Hollywood. That's what they say where I'm from. Oh, you getting a little too Hollywood. You starting to smell yourself. You starting to feel yourself. And what about it? They try to convince us, those that come from poverty, especially Black women, that we don't deserve the things that we want in life. You know, even when other women be like, how y'all be asking men for stuff that y'all don't have? Because I'm divine. And I can do that. If you were in your power, and if you were in the know, if you were a siren, if you were tapped in with Venus, you would be able to do the same thing. And it's not even about asking. When you exist in your own power and your own divinity, people want to do things for you. But you can't get things done for you. You can't get the love you deserve. You can't get community. You can't get luxury when you think you deserve the lack. When you think you deserve to live a non-beautiful life around non-beautiful people. Around people that are still trying to convince you out of your worth. I kept ending up in relationship after relationship, in friendships even. I remember this one girl that I was actually romantic with, and she would tell me, you're not who you think you are, Acacia. I've come to humble you. I'm the voice of reason. You too delusional. Who you feeling like? She would talk to me like that. And I thought that was okay, because I thought I needed to be brought down. I thought I was feeling myself too much. You right. I'm just a poor Black girl from Middle Georgia that ain't never gonna have That's what people want you to think. That's what these demonic white supremacist energies want you to think. They want to continue to strip you of your identity and your self-worth. But let me tell you a little about Venus. About the planet of self-love, of self-worth, of luxury, beauty, the finer things. Let me tell you about Venus-ruled deities. I'm gonna talk about those few deities and essences and entities that I've worked with that are connected to Venus or some may associate with Venus. I'm not going to spill all that in this episode, but there have been two big ones that I owe everything to. I had to look in the mirror every day and say, you know what? No matter how I come, no matter how my twist out, my braid out comes out today, I am beautiful and I deserve a beautiful day. Okay? And you have to start talking to yourself like that. You have to start seeing yourself like that. Don't mind me, I might look at my notes. That's also a thing about Venus. Venus says, come as you are, right? You still are beautiful. Because I used to be like, I'm not going to post this video. It's not aesthetically pleasing if I look at my notes. Wait, I'm cute even if I look at my notes. I make it look good even if I look at my notes. But yes, we have to deprogram mentally, physically, and spiritually. We have to protect ourselves with prayers that are already filled with knowing how you are. What I mean by that is like, dear God, for I know I am beautiful. I deserve a beautiful and pure life. Rid me of the things that want to make my life unbeautiful. As simple as that. And watch the things fall off of you. In my opinion, the first step, especially as a Black woman, especially as someone that has experienced poverty, because poverty will cast spells over you. People treated me so differently when back in high school. I remember my track coach had whispered something about me, was like, they say that people with nothing, some. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he acknowledged me as a person with nothing that came from nothing. I remember being in love with a man that gave me breadcrumbs. He never said why, but when I healed, when I tapped into my raw essence, my Venus energy, I understood that he gave me breadcrumbs because he knew that's what I was used to from my parents, from my family. So he knew that's all he had to do. People will try to remind you of where you come from to keep you from getting to where the heck you need to be. So first thing first, you have to acknowledge that you have been in survival mode. Venus wants you to acknowledge that you have been in survival mode, and that is not the life for someone like you. You have to acknowledge the parts you played in these unfair, unfit relationships and environments. You are continuing to walk in them because you think that's what you deserve. I wanted to make this channel because I feel like there's a lack of balance, when it comes to talking about wealth and Venus energy. I feel like some people are all spiritual. Oh, just spend your money, just blow your money because that's what you deserve. Pay your bills first. And then we have some people that are like lacking when it comes to the material wisdom, right? They're all spiritual. They're getting lost in the sauce. Like, how Nature Boy had them people? Like, outside, not bathing, not combing their hair, not cleaning. Looking crazy, right? It's some people that are so focused on the spiritual, they neglect the physical, and then they wonder why they're in a constant cycle of being depressed. If you're not looking good, if you don't like what you see in the mirror, if you're not putting that ish on, you're going to start to feel a little sad about yourself. If you're not bathing regularly, ooh, that sounded crazy. I can't say that word. If you're not taking regular baths, if you're not brushing your teeth every morning, every night, if you're not getting a little fancy lip gloss or a little fancy handbag to make you feel like that girl, you're going to slip in a space where you think you deserve less because you're operating as less because that's what these people want you to be doing. There was a point where I was having like $2 press-ons. These were probably only 5 or 8. And my grandma would see me with them and be like, that's your problem now. That's why you can't do this and do that because you always spending money. Grandma, these were like $3. It be your own family sometimes. And then you speak to the wise people that worked all of their lives, that never poured into their physical to make themselves feel good. That constant state, that constant loop of depression and being in lack kept them in lack. Save your money, yes, but also you're not making that money for no reason. Pour into your physical. I don't know what you believe in, and I really don't care. Not in that way, but I don't care because your first line of belief, the first thing you need to believe in is yourself. And people can tell when you don't believe in yourself. Trust me. They will break you down. They will break you down. When they see that you already do not believe in yourself, they will poke holes in those little insecurities until they're larger, until all of you, you're a shadow of yourself. I have had situations where I have walked into 9 to 5s and experienced the same thing over and over, over and over. Harassment. Right? And I think that was my sign, is that you need to get on that YouTube and take yourself out of that cycle because you deserve better. Now, I'm not saying that those jobs are not like worthy or whatnot. Someone has to do them, and I respect people that do them. But a lot of y'all that have come to this video, get out of that regular-ish. You did not come to be regular. But for some reason, you think you are. You think you're regular. And then that's why you keep ending up with the same people in different bodies, the same jobs, just in a different building, experiencing the same type of harm or abuse. Because you know you don't deserve it. But the heart and the mind are both muscles, right? It's all muscle. So even though you know better, it still has muscle memory. And you keep walking into the same spaces because you think that's what you deserve. Deep down inside of your mind, because that's what you've been wired to think about yourself. Now's the time. I'm calling you out, my love. I'm calling you out of those spaces. I'm praying you out of those spaces. I'm praying that you recognize that you are a superstar. I'm praying that you recognize every tool you need right now to do what you got to do is in the room. I was like, oh, I got to get me a mic. I got to get me a light. I got to get me this. No, I got my ASS on YouTube, put some makeup on, and said, I am the tool in my life that is going to take me to the next level. This voice is good enough. This is my last 9 to 5. I will become wealthy off of my beauty, my intellect, and the way I speak. I know that. I'm not just saying it. I believe in myself because I've seen some things. I've seen my neighbor be blessed. I know it's in the neighborhood. I know it's in the neighborhood. I know I'm worthy. You have to know you're worthy. And even when you do know you're worthy, those same people that knew when you didn't know you were worthy will still try to convince you are not. Oh, that insecure little nerd from the hood that didn't have ish, that didn't know what that was, that it hasn't experienced that, has not traveled, that can't speak that language, that didn't have designer, they'll say anything. She don't know nothing about nothing. She don't deserve, I will never forget. And this is why I would never talk down on the trans community, because the trans women, the girls, have always had my back. I have a cousin, a play cousin. Shout out to Kyrie. I will never forget that day you came to get me from my dorm. And I had some raggedy bag and I threw it in your car and you said, Acacia, I know you don't really care for the material things, but every girl deserves a nice bag. I love you down. And shout out to my house mother Paige. I love you down. Yeah. And on that note, I'm getting a little emotional. I love you. I don't even know you. But I love you and I support you. And I welcome you to this journey, because Venus is not done with me. But the energy of Venus and the spirits that are in my spiritual court said, you have something to say. You have something to teach these folks, right? And I would say, no, I don't. But I listened. Today I listened. Today I put the phone up, the camera up, and pull my notebook out and I listened. Now's your time. You know what you've come here to do already. You can't let them convince you out of your spot anymore. There is no such thing as destiny swapping. You give it away when you don't take your rightful throne. Until next time, my loves. Peace.